The night before that we couldn't actually leave, that we left the harbor at 7 in the morning once the winds had kind of settled down, but the ocean surface was still, really rough, and what we would have done is put one ski on the deck, which is what his boat has the capacity to do, and then tow the second one behind. But because we had to wait so long for the kind of sea state to settle down, we wouldn't have had time. If we were towing, you can only do maybe 10, 12 knots on a good clean day. And this we're dealing with, real erratic, angry ocean still. So we had to drive the second ski the 100 miles out there behind his boat.
100 miles on a jet ski, really?
100 miles on a jet ski.
And then on the way back, same.
And on the way back, the same thing, that when we finished surfing, it was dark, and we had just enough light and time as we got off the bank and into some deep water. He's got a little tiny ramp in between his two outboard engines on his boat, that you basically, like parking it kind of on a trailer at the launch ramp, you have to drive it right up and land it perfectly on the middle of these, two metal railings it has going up. And we're trying to do this as it's getting dark, the next front's approaching, it's starting to get really rainy, really windy again, in the middle of this raging sea, of, parking this thing in between his two outboards. So that was almost, as the whole day was over, it's like, okay, we survived the surfing, like now how are we gonna get home, sort of thing. And we were able to pull that out, strap down that boat, secure it to the back, between the outboards, and then rode the second ski behind, all the way back in the dark. And so it's one of those you just.
And they lost when Mike Parsons lost you guys for a while.
A pretty knucklehead move that we were so excited on the boat.
Well, it's always we're trying to get away from the rough part of the ocean to get clear so we can just cruise home.
And we got to talking, and it's hard to keep up on the ski in the back because you're dealing with a lot of bumps and chops that you can't see, especially in the dark. So you can't go quite as fast as the boat can. And we just got to talking, and we're so excited about how amazing the waves were. And we had set up a nice big spotlight on the front of his ski, so he could kind of see in front of him, and then we could actually keep an eye on him. And next thing you know, we turn around and the light's gone.
Oh.
And it had probably been about like 10 minutes since the last time we checked in on him. And I don't know if he'd actually had to stop to clear some kelp out of the intake or what, but we're sitting there okay, where's the light? Do you guys see it? Do you guys see it? And at that point, like I said, it was really stormy and still huge swells. The swells actually peaking at that point. And then off in the distance, we just see a little flicker of light, and then he disappears for a second as he kind of goes into the troughs of the swells, and then comes up again. And he finally catches up to us, and he wasn't the happiest. Yeah.
Do not leave me.
Right. But that was actually it was a nice ski that he was on, and it had all the safety equipment he would have ever needed, and an EPIRB, a radio that he could have gotten us on, and GPS. So. Worst case, if we had left him in the ocean, he could have.
Could have EPIRB.
How long does it take to go by jet ski 100 miles in those conditions?
The one picture perfect day, it was the first time I was ever out there. We left the bank, oil glass, and we made it home within
3 hours.
3 hours, 2.5 hours.
Really? That quick, Rob?
We were flying.
Yeah, we were doing 40 miles an hour.